Hello, everyone. Let's start today's session about AI learning. Today, we will learn about NLP speech in this session. So, we will leverage Azure AI service to build NLP speech solution, and you will find very interesting in this session because you may not know how to leverage the Azure AI feature to build the text-to-speech and speech-to-text. So this is a very interesting session. I hope you all will enjoy and get what you need in this session to equip yourself to upskill your skill set and strengthen your capability in the AI. What we talk about is not only the theory, we talk about the practice. So that's why I'll show you how we achieve this goal by the practice, by the lab. Okay, let's get started. So happy to see you again. Today, we will build a solution to recognize and synthesize speech. Azure AI Speech is a service that provides speech-related functionality, including a speech-to-text API that enable you to implement speech recognition, converting audible spoken words into text, a text-to-speech API that enable you to implement speech synthesize, converting text into audible speech. In this exercise, you will use both of these API to implement a speaking code application. So let's start. We'll go to the Azure AI service. And this time we are not using the language service. We are using the speech service because it's about voice, okay? Related to text to the speech or the speech to the text. So here we'll create speech service. We select the resource group. We give him this speech service the name, test 1001, speech 1001, user 101, test S1001 for speech. And free model, review and create. And in this exercise, we will prepare to develop an application in Visual Studio Code. So you will develop your speech application using Visual Studio Code. The code file for the app has been provided in a GitHub repo. So let's go to Visual Studio. Get clone to clone the source code from the GitHub repository to our local folder. We select the local location, downloads folder, and clone the source code from the remote repository to a local folder. We can open. And browse to the left file, number 7, speech. We'll use C# or Python, depends on the need for the language platforms. In this example, we're using Python. Speech clock, speaking clock. So we open in integrated terminal. And as usual, we need to install the Azure AI Speech SDK package by running the command for Python. So we'll run pip install Azure Cognitive Service Speech SDK. We can enter. After SDK is successfully installed, we go to environment. If you remember, we need to change the environment key and the region here. So we'll go to the exercise. We go to the resource management, keys and endpoint. So we copy the key, we paste here, key. Remember this time, what you show is the region, is not the endpoint. So the region is East US. You save it. And now we are ready to add code to using the Azure AI Speech SDK. Now we are ready to add code to use the Azure AI Speech SDK. We go to our program, Python, and go down to the import namespace. We import Azure Cognitive Service Speech as Speech SDK. In the main function, we load the code to load the service key and region from the configuration file has been provided. You must use this variable to create a speech config for your Azure AI Speech resource. Add the following code under the command configure speech service. We find out the configure speech service here, and we add the Python code. And save our change. Speech config, speech SDK, speech config, plan ready to use speech service. So we run the Python to have a try to see whether the program can be run or not. Ready to use speech service in East US. So it is ready. Right now, the next step is add code to recognize speech. Now that you have a speech config for the speech service in your Azure AI Speech resource, you can use the speech to test API to recognize speech and transcribe it to test. For example, if I have a working microphone, let's try in the main function from my program. Notice the code using the transcribe command function to access spoken input. In the transcribe command function, under the command config speech recognition, add the appropriate code to create speech recognizer. and that can be used to recognize and transcribe speech. Use the default this time microphone. The Python code is about configure speech recognition. Here, so we type the Python code. Audio config speech SDK audio config speech recognizer speech SDK speech recognizer print. Speak loud. Alternatively, we can use an audio. We can use audio input from a file. So let's save it firstly. We type pip install play sound. In the code file for my program, under the existing namespace imports, add the foreign code to import the library we just installed. From play sound, install play sound. In the main function, load the code use the transcribe command function to access spoken input. Then in the transcribe command function under the command config speech recognition, add the appropriate code below to create a speech recognizer client that can be used to recognize and transcribe speech from an audio file. So we go to the configure speech recognition. Here, we change it to current dir os get cwd audio file current dir thai.wav play sound audio file audio config speech SDK audio config speech recognizer speech SDK speech recognizer speech config audio config. Now we add code to process the transcribe command. In the transcribe command function under the command, process speech input add the foreign code to listen for spoken input, being careful not to replace the code at the end of the function that returns the command. We add the Python code in the process speech input. process speech, input speech, speech recognizer, recognize once async get. If speech listen, speech SDK result listen, recognize the speech. Command speech.tag, print command, else print speech.listen. If speech.listen, speech SDK result listen, cancel the cancellation speech, cancellation details, print cancellation.listen, print cancellation.error details. Save the change and return to the terminal. Let's have a try. I have already saved the change. Have a try to learn the Python speaking code Python. What time is it? The time is 19:49. Excellent. The last task is about synthesize speech. We already completed the previous task. We are ready to go to another task. It's about synthesize speech. Your speaking code application accepts spoken input, but it doesn't actually speak. Let's fix that by adding code to synthesize speech. In the main function for the program, load that the code use the tell time function to tell the user the current time. In the tell time function, under the command configure speech synthesize, add the following code to create a speech synthesizer client that can be used to generate spoken output. Configure speech synthesize, speech config.speech synthesize, voice lay, speech synthesizer, speech SDK, speech synthesizer, speech config. In the tell time function, under the command synthesize spoken output, add the following code to generate spoken output, being careful not to replace the code at the end of the function that prints the response. Synthesize spoken output. Speech synthesizer, speech text async, response text get. If speech listen not equal to speech SDK result listen dot synthesizing audio completed, print speak listen. We save the change again and rerun the program. Now it will reply with reply the time and also someone to say the time is 1952. It's so great. So we try to using a different voice. Your speaking code application use a default voice, which you can change. The speech service support a range of standard voice as well as a more human-like natural voices. You can also create custom voice. So in the tell me function, under the command configure speech emphasize, modify the code as following to specify an alternative voice before creating the speech emphasize kind. So configure speech emphasize here. We change the voice like this way. Remove it. And change it here. Configure speech synthesize, speech config, speech synthesize, voice name, speech synthesize, speech SDK, speech synthesize, speech config. We save the config and run it again. The program now change to another specified voice, telling me the time, telling us the time, 1954. So now we are ready to move to another exercise. It's so interesting, right? So we'll use speech synthesize markup language. Speech synthesize markup language, SSML, enable you to customize the way your speech is synthesized using an XML-based format. In the tell me function, we replace all of the current code under the command synthesize output with the following code. Leave the code under the command, print the response, okay? So we go to the synthesize output. We remove all the code here and replace as the new one. Synthesize spoken output response SSML. Remember, SSML, it is short for speech synthesize markup language. So we'll leverage this language. Response SSML, speak version SML, NS, voice name, break strength. Try to end this lag. Voice speak, format, response text, speech. Synthesizer, speech, SSML, async, response, SSML, get. If speech, listen, not equal to speech, SDK, result, listen. Synthesizer, audio, completed, print, speech, dot, listen. Now, we run it again. We save it firstly. We run the program again. Perfect. So we have successfully completed this lab. So you learn how to leverage the speech to text and text to speech. Well done. We will see you in the next session. Bye-bye.